Good morning, folks. This morning I have been brushing up on what information I had on the Reed technique, which is the technique that Wiegert and Fossbender were supposed to be using on Brendan Dassey to interrogate him. And I wanted to go over some of this because the fact is that the Reed technique, when you use it properly, it's actually a really effective investigative tool. However, when it's operated improperly or it is applied to the wrong type of subject, that's when it can cause some problems. And that is exactly what happened in this case with Brendan Dassey because, well, let's just go through this. And I will put the link to the information down in the description so you guys can see it for yourself. But the Reed technique is basically it's a method of how you go about interrogating a subject in order to either gain information or gain a confession of a crime. However, they have discovered that there are certain markers that investigators will use during the course of saying that they're using the Reed technique that usually will denote that there is a false confession. And in this information that I found, it was cited that the first 250 DNA exonerations where the Reed technique had been used and a false confession had been garnered, the first 250 DNA exonerations, of those, 41 had false confessions. That's about 16%, folks. And I know that that doesn't sound like a lot to anybody, but, you know, if you think about it, that's huge. That's a lot. 41 included false confessions via the Reed technique. Now, I want you guys to understand something. The Reed technique in and of itself is not responsible for false confessions. It is the improper usage of the Reed technique that results in false confessions. You see the distinction? Okay, let's keep going here. Now, they discovered that of the false confessions where the Reed technique was applied, all of those false confessions involved either very long interrogation times or, and this is gonna kick you in the nuts, or they involved juveniles or mentally impaired subjects. Brendan Dassey fits 2 of those. Actually, he fits 3. He fits all 3 of those because in February, when he first was talked to at the school and then he was talked to again the next day at the police station, that could be considered an overly long interrogation because they basically sequestered him and Barb and, let them know you're basically under police custody right now. Now, the primary causes for false confession, this is going to kick your ass. Primary causes of false confessions included duress, coercion, intoxication, which obviously Brendan was not, diminished capacity, which obviously Brendan was, mental impairment, duh, ignorance of the law, yeah, fear of violence, the actual infliction of harm, threat of a harsh sentence, or the misunderstanding of the situation. Now, of these primary causes, if we go through the list, you can see where Brendan Dassey falls into the vast majority of these. Duress. Yeah, he was under duress. Coercion. Oh, yeah. Diminished capacity. There's 3. Mental impairment. There's 4. Ignorance of the law. There's 5. Fear of violence. There's 6. Threat of harsh sentence. There's 7. And misunderstanding of the situation. There is 8. 8 of these fucking markers are there. What the fuck? Now, the principles of the Reed technique is to basically, before you even start applying the Reed technique, you're supposed to begin with a non-accusatory interview. This is to sort of, develop and establish not only information, but behavioral info. So not only investigative info, but behavioral info on the subject so that you can kind of get a feel for how they actually work, you know? And then you move forward with the read technique. If a subject is interrogated, there are many steps that need to be followed. There are many guidelines on this. Never make promises of leniency. Wiegert and Fassbender and O'Kelly made many promises of leniency. Come on, Brendan. We're not going to hang you out to dry. Blah, 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 blah. You know, O'Kelly himself stated, I need you to tell me the truth so that I can ask the judge for leniency. Never mind that he had absolutely no power with which to ask the judge for leniency. Fucking prick. Do not threaten the subject with harm or inevitable consequences. Wiegert and Fassbender, that's all they fucking did. That's all they did, was threaten him. Oh, well, you know, if you don't talk, Steve will talk, and you're still going to go down. Do not conduct interrogations for excessive length of time, meaning between 3 to 4 hours. Well, look at the actual timestamps on those videos, folks. Those things lasted much longer than 4 hours. Do not deny the subject any of their rights. His very basic right to have his mother present or counsel at the time of interrogation was denied him. And not only was it denied him, it was it was plotted to be denied to him. And do not deny subject their physical needs, i.e. being able to go to the bathroom, eat something if they're hungry, you know, take a mental break, that sort of thing. I will give Wiegert and Fassbender this much. They made very sure that Brendan had ample breaks and, you know, he was offered food and drink quite frequently. However, the way that they offered him food and drink, it to me sounded so much like, you know, offering a dog a milk bone to, you know, encourage him to do what they wanted him to do. Now, part of the read technique is to withhold details of the crime from the media. So if a subject confesses, law enforcement can evaluate the validity of their confession. That was not handled in this case. Everything that came out of the investigation was broadcast. Up until, now. It has been, the entire investigation was broadcast from beginning to end. And that taints any and all potential confessions, because what that does is that now you don't know if the person was actually there or if they just fucking heard it on the news, which is fucking obvious at this point, folks. Corroboration is determined one of two ways. Either independent, meaning it is a detail that the police didn't know. So if the subject says, you know, oh, well, we stabbed her and the knife is hidden in the back of her truck, and then they actually went and found the knife, that's considered independent corroboration. Dependent corroboration is the police knew the details, but the public didn't. The general public didn't. It wasn't released to the media. But every fucking detail was released to the media, so it's not like they could actually, you know, tell what was true and what was bullshit. Now, one of the main factors of the read technique is special precautions must be taken with juveniles or the mentally or psychologically impaired. And one of the main special considerations in the read technique that is supposed to be taken with juveniles is do not lie to the subject. And that's all that Wiegert and Fassbender did. They did nothing but fucking lie to Brendan Dassey. Oh, well, we've got mountains of evidence and we know everything and we know you were there. Why was your DNA in her car, Brendan? And he said, it's not. And they said, yes, it is. Your fucking DNA is in her car. You're not supposed to lie to juvenile subjects using the read technique, because that will garner you a false confession, you fucking moron. Once the confession is given, that's not the end of the investigation. An investigation needs to continue in order to gather evidence that supports the details given in the confession. But that wasn't the case here. The details, the evidence was manufactured to fit the confession. You see? Because I'm sorry, but had they done an actual real live investigation from the word go, they wouldn't have found that fucking bullet a year later, months later. It wouldn't have taken them 7 searches to find that fucking key. Now it is noted on this piece of media that false confessions are not caused by the Reid technique, but they are usually caused by interrogators engaging in improper behavior that falls outside the parameters of the Reid technique. And that's all you see. Wiegert, Fassbender, and O'Kelly all engaged in improper behaviors and improper tactics throughout the course of all of Brendan Dassey's interrogations. Threats, promises of leniency, and denial of rights. All 3 of these, all 3 of them engaged in. So you cannot take Brendan Dassey's confessions seriously because all of them were obtained through nefarious means. All of them fell outside of the perimeters of the Reid technique, and they all utilized markers that basically are known to cause false confessions. And the problem with false confessions here, folks, is that it bogs down the system and it bogs down the investigation. And then you're chasing your fucking tail. You're not going to actually solve this crime because you're too busy running down bullshit that you yourself caused. And that is the true bad side of this case, is that Brendan Dassey's confessions convinced them that they had the right fucking people, and they don't. Teresa Halbach's killer is still out there. That's the fucking scary thing here, folks. Oh my God. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and leave this link in the description below. Don't forget, April 2nd, for my UK peeps, April 2nd, there will be the protest for Brendan Dassey and Steven Avery. At 11 a.m., it will be at the U.S. Embassy, and at 2 p.m., it will be at Parliament Square. Don't forget to go to Facebook, #FreeBryant, to check out how the juvenile justice system in Wisconsin is just completely fucked, and Brendan Dassey and Bryant Ellis are just 2 more victims of that fucked up system. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, MamaPhoenix6, and we will see you all in my next video. Thank you.